StraighTAllDay.com.
You're now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you're the huge dose of personal initiative. What is that? That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques, all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is, we're getting into part 3 of 3. We are talking keys to productivity. You want to be a more productive individual, you should be listening to this show because I'm giving you the keys. I'm giving you the keys, and we know the keys open doors, right? The keys to being more productive, assuming that you already know what exactly makes you effective, i.e. what gets you to your goals. That's what we're talking about here today. Again, this is part 3 or 4. So if you missed parts 1 and 2, which are the previous 2 episodes of the show, make sure you check those before you listen to this one. But before we get started, let me remind everybody that I send out a text message every morning called the Daily Motivation. It's guaranteed to have you focused, sharp, and on point to start your day. When you are ready to start receiving that message, that will be right now because you got a phone and you get text messages every day. So you might as well get a text that's actually going to help you do something instead of wasting your time, like the stuff you get from your friends sending you TikTok videos that are going to do nothing to move you forward. Get this message that's actually going to help you move forward by texting me at my number 305-384-6894. And every day when that message goes out, starting tomorrow morning, you shall receive. Secondly, Work on Your Game University. That's the place where you work with me directly. When you want to get into my frameworks on mindset, when it comes to strategy for your business, when it comes to systems for your operations and process, and making sure you're being held accountable to execute. All of that happens in one place. It's called Work on Your Game University. The only way to get in is to go to WorkOnYourGame.LIVE. We'll tell you exactly what to do to get started in the university right now. So with that out of the way, let's get right into it. We're picking up on point number 7. We're talking again today about keys to productivity. Number 7, batching your tasks. What does batching a task mean? Let me see if I can get a good definition for the word batch. It says, let's see if I can find a good example. Concept of batching. According to projectmanager.com, batching is the act of grouping tasks together so you do them all at once instead of switching between tasks that take place in different programs or different areas. That's a pretty good definition, so thank you, projectmanager.com. Batching simply means taking a bunch of the same tasks and getting it all done at once. That's what batching means. Taking a bunch of the same task and getting it all done at once. So instead of doing it one time, then going away, doing a bunch of other stuff, and come back, doing it again, going away, coming back, why don't you just do all of it at one time if and when you can? That's what batching tasks means. Some of you already do some batching in your life. You may not even consider it batching. You may not even look at it as such, but if you think about it, you're doing it. For example, when you do laundry, most of you probably don't just take one outfit or one day's worth of clothes and just wash those and then fold them up, then put them back in the closet, and then the next day you do the same thing again. Usually people wash a bunch of clothes all at the same time, dry them all at the same time, fold them up all at the same time, and doing laundry is like washing several days worth of clothing. And if you got multiple people whose laundry you're doing, then you do a bunch of it at the same time. I remember when I used to live in this apartment in South Beach, and I didn't have a washer and dryer in my home. So I had to go to a laundromat, and I would take my laundry, like a week's worth of laundry every maybe Friday or so, to the laundromat, and I would let them wash it, dry it, fold it, and give it back to me. But I was batching it. It's not like every day after I finished my workout, I took everything to the laundromat and just washed one day's worth of stuff. So that's a form of batching. People ask me, Dre, this show comes out every day. Do you record one new episode every single day? Like sit down and record it every day? The answer is no. I record several episodes at a time. I never record just one episode whenever I record the show. I always record multiple episodes at once. This is a form of batching. So rather than doing a little bit at a time over an extended period, you do a bunch at once. Remember that focus is a force multiplier, folks. We just talked about this in the previous couple episodes. If you are already focused on a task, you might as well take care of all of that task A, let's call it task A, and take care of all of it once rather than doing only a little bit today, a little bit tomorrow, then a little bit the next day. And again, last week, for example, I was working on my CRM, which is just software that you use to keep up with leads and maybe affiliates, people you might do business with, prospects, sales, etc. And I had 150 follow-ups I need to handle in my CRM, 150 follow-up messages that needed to be sent to certain people. I knew this because the CRM tells me how many follow-ups I needed to catch up on. And it was a hell of a task, and there was a lot that needed to get done, but I did get it done. I do the same when I want to get my inbox down to 0. If I got 30 unread emails in my inboxes, I like to keep it 0 inbox. Let me see what I got right now in my inbox. This is in the middle of the day that I'm recording this. Right now I have 5 emails that need to be 5 unread emails in my inbox. I'm going to address all 5 of those unread emails today because I don't like having unread emails in my inbox. So if I want to get rid of those emails, I'm going to batch that task and knock all of them out at the same time. Again, the same as with recording the show. I always record at least 2 episodes every time I turn on the mic, but I usually like to record even more than that. When I used to make basketball videos back in the day, I would record at least 20 videos rather, every single time I went to the gym. And the reason I was able to record 20 videos is not because I came up with 20 new ideas on the spot every day in the gym. That would be a very impressive feat if I could come up with 20 new ideas every single day and I'm going to the gym 5-6 days a week. That'd be great. But I was not doing that. I would plan out what I was going to do before I got to the gym. So when I got there, I already knew exactly what 20 drills I was going to be recording before I even picked up the ball, before I even started recording. So if you follow me back in the day, you remember I used to put out a very high volume of material on the basketball court. It's because of this practice of batching my material. And to this day, if you didn't follow me back in the day and you follow me now, or if you followed me then and you still follow me now, you see I still put out a high volume of material, and it's because of this practice of batching. It's not because I'm just some grand wizard coming up with all these amazing ideas right there on the spot. If I could come up with ideas on the spot, all I would do is write them down, and then I would go batch record those when I had enough of them in place. But this batching task is what allows you to get a whole lot done in a short period of time, in a shorter period of time, relatively speaking, so that then you basically bought yourself some time where you can keep publishing and putting your stuff out if we're talking about anything content based, and you don't have to keep creating all the time. You can even buy yourself some extra time. So for example, let's say I'm going to go on vacation for 2 weeks. I'm not going to be home or in a place where I can record. I can batch record a bunch of material such that this show, for example, will keep coming out every single day. You won't even know that I'm on vacation unless I told you that I'm on vacation. And the show keeps coming out every day. You don't even know that I'm gone. Why? Because I recorded enough material that is still coming out. So a couple of years ago, when I was traveling to Europe a couple summers ago, and I was gone for like 3 weeks, but I recorded enough material that I had like 50, 60 episodes in the can. So the episodes kept coming out, and even when I got back, I still didn't need to immediately start recording because I already had a bunch of material batched and done before I left. Point number 8. Today's topic, once again, is keys to productivity. Number 8 is structure. Create an environment that is conducive to productivity. This is a simple idea, yet one that is consistently overlooked by people who are challenged with being productive. They're challenged to be more productive. You feel like you're not as productive as you could be, and this is simply because you have not created an environment that is conducive to that productivity. You see, you could be doing everything that we talked about in the first 7 points, but if you don't have the right kind of environment that makes it easier for you to produce, then you'll be challenged to produce. It's kind of like you're fighting against yourself because you have a structure that makes it hard to produce. So I'll give you a few examples here. So one, I'll give you a couple here. So one is I like to run outside. I'm a person I like to run, period. I could run inside, I could run outside. Inside would be like running on a treadmill. I don't really like running on a treadmill. I'd rather run outdoors because running on a treadmill, eventually it starts to get boring. Not that one day. I can run on the treadmill one random day. Let's say there's some kind of monsoon happening outside. I will hop on the treadmill here in my building and I'm fine with that. But every single day running on the treadmill, that would start to get boring. So I like to run outside, and I also do not like cold weather. I don't like to be outside in cold weather. And cold to me is anything under 65 degrees to me is cold. I just don't like cold weather. It's not that I can't bear cold weather. I'm from Philadelphia, so I've bared it. I've seen plenty of snow and all that. But I don't like cold weather. There's a difference between can't bear it and don't like it. So I moved to a place, and this is not the only reason that I moved here, but one of the great things about living in Miami is that I can run outside pretty much all year round. Most of the time, the weather is above 65 degrees, and a few times that is not If it's under if it goes to about 55, I'm fine still going outside. I'll bundle up a little bit. If it's under 55, then I'll just hop on the treadmill because I don't want to be outside running in the cold. But that environment that I'm in was strategically chosen because it's one of the things that I can do is I can run outside regardless of the temperature, because the temperature I know is always going to be at a certain point. When it comes to recording this show, I have a structure for how I need to record. I know what I need to have in place. I only need 4 things in order to record here. I got a camera. For those of you who are watching this on video, I got my computer where I record the audio. I got my tablet where I have my notes, and I got this microphone that I record on. And then there's me. That's it. Those are only 4 things that I need. And as long as I got somewhere to put everything, like a desk and somewhere to sit, like this chair, then I'm good. I can go ahead and record. So I have the structure set up that makes it easy for me to do so. When I do a live stream, it's a similar thing. Live streaming, I need pretty much the same stuff. A computer where I usually will go live on. I go live on one platform on there. I go live through one of my old phones. I usually have my tablet. If I have notes, if there are notes, and I got more than one phone. So that's all I need in order to do that. So I have a structure set up and a process. And we talked about process earlier, to where I can do these same things the same way every time, over and over and over again. I have a process for how I do these things. I used to, and this is before I was wearing suits every day, when I used to just wear no t-shirts, short sneakers, I would go to coffee shops, Capital One cafes. I would even sit outside at these places. I would sit outside of a Starbucks or sit outside of a Capital One cafe. And these are in high foot traffic areas. So if you've been to Miami, there are some areas that are very high in foot traffic. There's a whole lot of people walking around, and I would sit outside, like right in the middle of it, and I would do my work there. Now, it was fun to do because I would see a lot of different types of people. I would meet people. I would have people stop and talk to me, maybe people who knew me, maybe somebody who knew me off the internet, maybe somebody who would just see me all the time sitting there, so they would get comfortable enough and confident enough to come approach me, and they would come and talk to me. And it was fun to do that. It was fine. It would be interesting usually. But one thing that it was not conducive to getting things done, because that environment created a lot of distraction. So that environment that led to me not being as productive as I could have been. Plus, there were a couple situations where like stragglers and like homeless people who appeared to be homeless. I don't know what they were. They appeared to be homeless. They didn't really have anywhere to go, so they're just kind of wandering the neighborhood, and they would see me all the time. I guess they would feel comfortable enough approaching me, interrupting me, trying to talk to me, asking me questions, asking for handouts and stuff like that. There were way too many distractions happening, and it got to the point that I was like, all right, I can't sit out here anymore. So I stopped sitting out there, and now I don't do that anymore. Now I do my work from, if you're watching on video, from this space, home office. So, and if I was to go out to work somewhere, I would get an office space where people can't interrupt me. I don't want to be anywhere where I can be interrupted, because it interrupts my flow. First of all, breaks the focus. And I just told you the focus is a force multiplier. So every time somebody stops me and asks me a question or says, hey, that's a nice suit, or hey, what do you do? Because I see you here all the time. All those things, I don't mind them. Generally, I don't mind them, but it breaks my focus. Which one is more important? Some random person coming up to me and asking me what I do, or me getting done what I need to get done? I'd rather get done what I need to get done, because if I'm not getting done what I need to get done, guess what? Nobody would give a damn what I do. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I had to stop doing that. I had to stop going to coffee shops. So you're not going to see me in a coffee shop with my laptop. Not anymore. I had to stop doing that because it was way too many distractions happening. That environment was not conducive to productivity. That environment is conducive to meeting people, talking to people, seeing and being seen. So if I wanted to do those 3 things, then I'll go sit at a coffee shop. But if those are not my aims, then I don't want to go somewhere where somebody can interrupt me. I want to be somewhere where I cannot be interrupted. Like right now, I'm in the comfort of my own home. The door's locked. For the most part, nobody can interrupt me right now, except calling my phone, but I got my phone on silent. So that's what I mean when I say create an environment that is conducive to productivity. It also means wherever you're going to be doing your things, make sure it's conducive to the kind of outcomes that you want to produce. It doesn't mean you have to completely control it, but it's conducive to what you want to do. So for example, I go to a boxing gym 3 days a week. The boxing gym is not far from me. I can walk there, I could drive there. And that environment has the material and the equipment that I need to do the kind of workouts that I want to do. So going to that gym is conducive to the outcomes I'm trying to produce right now. If I was trying to do something different, let's say I was trying to get better at doing yoga, I probably wouldn't go to that gym because it's not conducive to that kind of workout. I would go to a yoga studio. If I was trying to do Pilates, I go to a Pilates studio. If I was trying to get better at spin, that's the stationary bicycles, I would go to a spin studio. Why? Because those environments are conducive to what I'm trying to do. So you need to be clear on what your outcome is, what you want to do, and you need to choose your environment and or create your environment based on what is most conducive to the outcome that you wish to produce. So again, you got to be clear, again, not what is the most fun, and not looking at just what kind of outcomes could possibly come from these things. Because listen, if I go sit outside of the Capital One every single day, I'm in this suit right now, so I probably couldn't sit outside. It'd be too damn hot. But I sit on the inside of the Capital One. I didn't really like sitting on the inside there too, because the AC was a little bit too cold. Even with a suit on, it still gets too cold. And I just told y'all I don't like cold. But if I was to do that now, what's the benefit that I can get from that? Well, I would probably meet a good number of people. I probably have a good number of people coming up to me, talking to me, just because I'm this guy sitting there with a suit on in the middle of the town, and most people would be like, well, why does this guy got a suit on? Most people don't walk around with a suit on. I would probably meet a good number of people. Who knows? Maybe one of those people might lead me to a business deal that could make me $1 million. That would be a good reason to go do it. But am I structuring myself to do that? Am I setting myself up strategically for that to happen? No, it's just a possibility of it happening. So it doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It wouldn't be a bad thing for me to go sit there. Let's just say I decided to go do it one day. I would probably do it. It's not like anything bad would happen to me. However, what is the outcome that I'm trying to get to? You gotta know what your outcome is, folks. See, it's much easier for me to get more done when nobody's walking past me, nobody can stop me, nobody can distract me, and nobody's physical presence can draw my attention. So nobody can interrupt me where I'm at right now. And this is a structural thing. I've always told you that discipline is a byproduct of structure. So you want to know how I'm so disciplined to produce what I produce is because I set up structures to make my discipline easy. It's not that I'm some disciplined superhero. I am a disciplined superhero, but that's not the reason why I'm so disciplined. I'm disciplined because I set up structures to make it easy. So if you want to get more done, set up an environment that makes it easy for you to get things done, or choose an environment that makes it easy for you to get things done. Some of you, conversely, actually get more done when there are a bunch of people around you. Some of you like that. Some of you like to go to a place where there's 1,000 people walking past you every 15 minutes because you're the type of person who can just completely ignore other humans. And maybe human beings don't stop you and try to talk to you. They walk by you and they just don't notice you, and it doesn't bother you that they're walking around. And maybe it invigorates you to have the energy of the other human beings milling about. When it comes to things that I really need to get done, I'm the opposite. I get more done when nobody can interrupt me and I can completely focus on what I'm doing in complete solitude. So something like this, like recording the show, I can't record this with a bunch of people walking around because somebody might talk, somebody might be making noise, so I can't record a professionally sounding audio with a bunch of other sounds going on around me. I need there to be quiet. If I'm writing, for example, I need to keep my train of thought, and that my train of thought will get interrupted if somebody walks by and says, hey, Dre Baldwin, I used to watch you on YouTube. I'll appreciate them, but you just interrupted my train of thought while I'm trying to write the next paragraph for this article that's going in my monthly Bulletproof Bulletin, which is my physical magazine that I send out to everybody who's a member of Work on Your Game University. By the way, you can subscribe to the bulletin if you just go to bulletproofbulletin.com, by the way. So I get more done when I don't have interruptions. Some of you may be the opposite. You need to know yourself, also know your goals. What environment is most conducive to that? So although I like being around people, I do a lot. I am not an introvert who likes to be by myself. I get a lot of work done when I'm by myself, but I have no problem whatsoever being around a whole bunch of human beings all day, as long as that's part of my process, as long as it's part of my plan. Now, my plan was to be by myself and get work done and end up being surrounded by people all day, then I'll probably be annoyed, and vice versa. So it just depends on what my structure is for that day. So I'm neither introvert nor extrovert. I guess they call that omnivert. You're a little bit of both. That's pretty much where I fit. It just depends on what my structure and process and plan was for that particular day. So today, I want to record episodes of the Work on Your Game Masterclass. I don't want anybody in my way. I don't want people around me when I'm doing work that does not require other people around me. Point number 9. Today's topic, once again, we are talking keys to productivity. We're on part 3 of 4, number 9. Delegate and outsource. Delegate and outsource. Sometimes you are being productive with things that you need not be productive at. Sometimes you are just doing stuff that you don't need to be doing. We call this maintenance work, entrepreneurs. Those of you who are business owners, you're the head person at your business. There are things that you are doing in your business that you don't need to be doing. Someone or something else could be doing that work at a lot lower cost, opportunity cost, or hard cost than it costs for you to be doing it. Maybe somebody else could do it because it's cheaper in time, attention, energy, and money for someone else to do it. Or hey, they just might be better at it than you. I don't edit any audio for the show. All right, Nico is my audio guy. He and his team delegate. I delegate and outsource that work to them. They take care of that. And I'm always planning on and scheming on how I can delegate and outsource other tasks in my business that don't need to be done by me, or tasks that are not being done, period, but I want them done. So I got to find someone or something who can do those things. So you should be looking for the same things in your business. Even if you're not in position to do them yet, you should be thinking about it. You always be looking at and writing down. You should have an active list, entrepreneurs. Have an active list of things that can be delegated and outsourced and taken off of your hands so that you can be more productive at things that only you do and are the highest ROI activities that you would be doing. That's what you should be focused on. And usually that's like 2 or 3 things. You should not have 8 things on your highest ROI activity. They can't all be highest ROI. You got maybe 2 or 3. It might only be one thing. So for example, do you like shopping for groceries, finding recipes, and cooking? If the answer is no, then you should delegate your work to a meal delivery service, which is what I do. I have a meal delivery service down here in South Florida. It's called Health Rush. If any of you in South Florida want to get your meals delivered by them, just call them up or look them up or go to myhealthrush.com and just mention my name. What they do is they make the meals for me. So now I don't have to shop for groceries. I don't have to find recipes, and I don't have to figure out what the recipe says and actually cook the meals. I don't have to do any of that stuff. All I had to do is pop the meal into the toaster oven, heat it up for 6 minutes on 400 degrees, and my meal's done. So they make the meal for me. I pop them in, I eat them, because I don't like shopping for groceries, looking up recipes, or cooking. So I've outsourced that job. Now I wear suits every day, but I don't like ironing shirts. So I outsource that job to the dry cleaners, or Anna will iron the shirts for me. Either way, I'm not doing it. All right, the whole point is delegating and outsourcing. So you want to look at things that you're doing that you don't necessarily need to be doing yourself, or things that are not happening at all that need to happen, but maybe you don't have the capacity to do them, or you just don't have the resources to be doing them yourself. Who or what else can do it? Great news about technology these days is sometimes technology can do things for you, not an actual human, but some kind of software or a robot or something like that can get something done for you that you don't need to be doing yourself. And you who's an internet user, a active internet user, you know that one of the big things right now is AI software. AI just stands for artificial intelligence. Chat GPT is a big thing. Then it's basically a bot software, AI software that can write something for you. It can write a contract for you. I've had it write agreements for me. I've had it write proposals for me. It can write articles for you. It can find information. It can give you ideas for material. Any of you who's challenged with creating content, ChatGPT can help you come up with ideas for content. Plenty of ideas for content. That's a form of software producing something for you. You're delegating, outsourcing to the software rather than delegating and outsourcing to yourself. There are people who I've seen people do this on their blogs. When they have a whole lot of content on their blogs, they put a chat bot on the blog page to where you can ask the chat bot, hey, has this such and such author ever written a post about this subject, about basketball or about modeling or about writing articles or about publishing books? And the chatbot software will return all the articles that the person has ever mentioned that particular topic. So that's a form of, instead of having a human do that, you got software doing it. And my building that I live in right now, as a matter of fact, I saw this. I was down at the front desk. I probably saw this they just started this maybe the last 2 weeks, where if somebody comes into the building, they want to move into the building, instead of setting an appointment with one of the humans who work here, what they do now is they have a little QR code on a little flyer. You scan the QR code, you basically sign yourself in, and they will allow you to go and look at some of the units in the building on your own. I guess they give you like a virtual key that unlocks the door and all that stuff. And then if you decide that you actually want to move in, you can go and do the paperwork and all that stuff all through the website, to where no human beings are involved in the process. Humans don't get involved until you actually start going through you get deeper into the paperwork process, you commit some actual cash to moving into the building, then the human beings get involved. So they've eliminated the need for a human being at certain steps, and they're using software to replace the people. The whole point is they've delegated and outsourced the task of showing the building from, it used to be humans doing that, now they have software that does it. That's the whole point. So you can delegate and outsource not only to just other people, but also to software. So any of you who's not familiar with these opportunities that are available to you, you should get familiar or talk to someone who can help you get familiar, because you may be missing out on some opportunities right now and doing work that you simply don't need to be doing. And then you can take that time that you saved by outsourcing and use that time to do work that you should be doing, more of the work you should be doing. Let's recap today's class. This is part 3 of 4. Keys to productivity. Number 7, batching your tasks. Simply means taking a bunch of the same tasks and doing them all at once, such as when I record 4 or 5 episodes of this podcast in one day instead of one every single day. Number 8, structure. Creating an environment that is conducive to productivity. If I want to be productive when it comes to writing, recording, things like that, I probably don't want to sit at a Starbucks, because the human beings who are milling about or who may talk to me or who may be making noise will throw off my train of thought and stop me from doing the productive work that I need to do, because that's what works for me. You need to know what works for you, and you need to consistently be in an environment that is conducive to you producing at your highest possible level. Your job is to know what that environment is. It's not the same for everybody, because you go to Starbucks, there's a bunch of people in there working. That's what works for them. That ain't what works for me. Number 9, delegate and outsource. Sometimes you are being productive with things you simply don't need to be doing at all. So if you get productive at things that don't matter, what you're doing is you're getting good at the wrong things. We talked about this in episode number 2534. Don't get good at the wrong things. So I outsourced the audio for this show. You can outsource things like any kind of internet-based task, that especially if it's textually based, there's AI software that can probably do it. Maybe you know about it, maybe you don't. Maybe you feel intimidated by it, maybe you don't know enough about it, maybe you feel like maybe you shouldn't do it. You should find out what exactly it is, so maybe you can get that stuff done without you having to do it yourself. There's software, for example, for accounting. There's a company called QuickBooks. Many of you are probably familiar with it. Some of you are probably users. What QuickBooks does, basically, it's accounting software, to where instead of you having an actual accountant, a human, the QuickBooks software does a whole lot of accounting for you. It doesn't mean you can't still have an accountant, but the accountant doesn't have to do as much work. But you don't need the accountant to do as much work, because the software is doing work for you that you won't have to do yourself. That's another example of delegating and outsourcing. So understand that those words don't necessarily mean other humans. It can mean software these days. And as we move forward technologically, it's going to more and more less mean humans and more mean some type of computer chip or program doing work for you that a human being does not need to do. And as a side note, all you humans out there, you need to step your skill game up, because there are many, many jobs being eaten up by computers that humans no longer will be getting paid for. With all that said, text me so you can get the daily motivation every single day, free of charge, straight to your phone. My number is 305-384-6894, and Work on Your Game University. That is where you can actually get on that skill game. You can skill up. You can work on your game when it comes to your mindset, your strategies, your systems, and your accountability to execute for your career, for your business, and for your life. All that's happening at WorkOnYourGameUniversity.com. Again, that's WorkOnYourGameUniversity.com. Work on your game. Dre all day.